All right, guys, let's haul some books. Today, I will be giving you my April book haul. You guys know I wait for my book of the month books to come in, my Aardvark books to come in, to talk about the books that I will be hauling. And I do need to tell you, because it's not over here in the stacks, I have kind of buried it within a TBR stack that I will be doing next. And so I've left it in the stack. But I did get Bat Eater by Kylie Lee Baker. I've been very excited to read a horror from Kylie Lee Baker. I've read her YA series, the original YA series. I do have The Scarlet Alchemist sitting right here. I plan to read that at some point. I'm not sure when. I've enjoyed Kylie Lee Baker's writing, so I really wanted to see what she was going to do with a horror novel, and so I got that from Aardvark. Now let's dig into the rest of the pile. It's sitting right here. You can kind of see it. But first off, I have to tell you about the book that I'm so excited for. I have been a fan of David Dalglish's synopses for quite some time. If you guys have been around, you know I have purchased just about every David Dalglish book there is based on synopsis alone. Now, Soul Keeper, that series, I didn't really enjoy, but I liked the idea of it. I am currently reading the Bladed Faith. What is that series name? I don't remember, but I'm on the third book of that one, and that will come up later as well in my TBR for May, but I am going to read this one very soon because it's part of my magical readathon for this month. I thought David Dalglish was only going to be doing a lit RPG this year. I had no idea he was going to be releasing something else. So I thought I was safe from my David Dalglish curse and where I needed to own every single book he's written. However, this sounds so up my alley. This is dark fantasy and I'm so excited for it. It says, Radiance, the mysterious power of life and creation, is theirs to command. Death cannot claim them. For hundreds of years, the ever-living ruled with ease. Yet when the world is nearly broken beneath their reign, the 6 siblings swear a vow. They will sit upon no thrones, wear no crowns, and no longer teach humanity the gifts of radiance. But after centuries of peace, Eddar rejects their vow, anoints himself voice of the Father, and spreads a new, cruel faith across the land. Farron cannot allow such indiscretion. Returning from a self-imposed exile, he swears to crush Eddar's kingdom, and he will not do so alone. Sariel, their cold and calculating brother, knows all too well that an Everliving's dominion is bound for brutality and destruction. But to overthrow a nation, they need more than each other. They will need an army. Doesn't that sound amazing? I'm so excited for this. Blood is thicker than water. I didn't realize what the tagline was there. Anyway, I'm so excited for this one. So excited. And I have nothing else to say other than I just get obsessed with his synopses. Absolutely obsessed. I do still have 2 other series by him that I have and haven't read yet, but this one's calling my name. All right, so for my book of the month books, let's start with the one I'm most excited about, Enchantra. Now, if you guys have been around Book Talk or BookTube for a while, you will know that Phantasma was a hit with all the romantasy girlies. And I'm no exception. I loved that book. I gave it 4 stars initially when I read it, but the more I think about it, the more I like it. And I think that Phantasma is probably a 5-star for me because it lives rent-free in my brain. This is the second book in that series. However, these are standalone books within the same world. And this is following the sister of our main character in Phantasma. So do you have to read them back to back? Do you have to read them in order? Probably not. But since this is the sister, there is something going on with the sister in book 1. So I would say, yes, read Phantasma before Enchantra, even though they may not be completely connected. Though I haven't read this one to tell you for sure, I would just say, since the sister is in the first one, probably a good idea. Now, this one is about the sister, like I said, and she is going to participate in a competition. It says, a cursed palace in Italy, frozen in time. Though denied entrance by the sinfully handsome yet hostile Rowan Silver, Genevieve finds her own way in and soon realizes her mistake, for Enchantra is a twisted labyrinth where Rowan and his 6 siblings are trapped in a deadly game at the mercy of a twisted devil and his ghastly spectators. Only one occupant of the house can survive. Genevieve now must win or die. Sounds very similar to the premise of Phantasma, but different enough that I think I will really enjoy it. Okay. And then for a romance that I picked up from Book of the Month, I didn't have this on my radar until everybody on BookTube was reading it. And then I was like, okay, I guess I also need to read it. It sounds like it's going to be good. We have a guy who gives love advice on a radio show, and our female main character calls in, but not for herself, for her mother. And the conversation between these two goes viral, and she's invited to the show to actually participate and help the ratings grow for this show. And that sounds like a pretty interesting premise to me. I don't know that I would have picked this up. Like I said, I skipped this when it came around the first time, but with the way everyone's talking about it, I feel like I need to give this a go. And BK Borison, I've heard, is an excellent writer, so I might be looking into a backlist if I really like this one. Then my monthly selection, the one that I actually got from like the picks of the month, I picked up 6 Days in Bombay. And it says this sweeping novel of identity and self-discovery takes readers from 1937 Bombay to Prague, Florence, Paris, and London to uncover the mystery behind a famous painter's death. And the thing that got me about this, it says the key to proving Sona's innocence may lie in a cryptic note and 4 paintings Mira left in her care, sending the young woman on a mission to visit the painter's former friends, lovers, across a tumultuous Europe, teetering toward war. On the precipice of discovering her own identity, Sona learns that the painter's charming facade hid a far more complicated, troubled soul. So it sounded very good to me, and it's been a while since I've read like a historical fiction, but this seems to have tropes that I like. Only thing that I worry about this is journeying. You guys know how I feel about journeying, but I was very intrigued by this. From the cover to the synopsis, everything sounded good to me. All right, again, if you guys have been watching my videos before this, you'll know I gave North is the Night 5 stars, and I had an ARC copy, but I wanted this really pretty edition of the book, and it's got everything from like beautiful end papers to an embossed hardcover to a reversible dust jacket. Like, I loved everything about this edition, and it's a first print edition. It's not like a special edition or anything like that. But I needed to own it because this was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. And there's a quote on the back of this book that kind of surmises the vibes. Men have long been the heroes of our tales. Show the people what we women can do to fight for those we love. Go north, find Vinamonian, and save Ayana. Then return to us. We need you. I love this. I'm getting chills because I know what that pertains to in this story, and I'm very excited for everyone else to read this. I want all of my friends to read it and report back because I absolutely loved this book. Okay, and as for Aardvark, I told you guys that I had got Bat Eater, but I also picked up Blood on Her Tongue by Johanna Van Veen, and I've heard so many good things about this from everybody who's read it already, but I feel like I need to read it. I am in your blood and you are mine. The Netherlands, 1887. Lucy's twin sister, Sarah, is unwell. She refuses to eat, mumbles nonsensically, and is increasingly obsessed with a centuries-old corpse recently discovered on her husband's grand estate. The doctor has diagnosed her with temporary insanity caused by a fever of the brain. To protect her twin from a terrible fate in a lunatic asylum, Lucy must unravel the mystery surrounding her sister's condition, and it's clear her twin is hiding something. Then again, Lucy is harboring secrets of her own, too. Then the worst happens. Sarah's behavior takes a turn for the strange. She becomes angry and hungry. Lucy soon comes to suspect that something is trying to possess her beloved sister, or is it madness? As Sarah's changing behaviors before her very eyes, Lucy must reckon with the dark, monstrous truth or risk losing her forever. And then I loved this quote, "A new Gothic masterpiece, Blood on Her Tongue, is decadent, full of gore and rot, and viscerally, relentlessly engaging. I devoured this one. Once you've tasted a little, you'll need more." So I'm very, very excited for this one. Okay, and I can't seem to stop myself from going to the Books A Million clearance racks. I keep doing it. Just so you know, the Aardvark selections for the month were really hard to choose from, but I already owned The Tainted Cup and A Drop of Corruption. I've heard very good things about Nicholas Benge. One of my friends is really enjoying their books. And so there's the books, so you can see what was on offer. There we go. Got rid of the glare. But I'm like, they are really pushing out some good selections. Okay, so most of these books were like $5 or less. And I found this one, Seven Endless Forests by April Genevieve Tucholk. I don't know how to say that, but this sounded very good. I'm always wanting to find fantasy that has women at the center of it. And it says, fortune favors brave women. In this bold, gender-bent story inspired by King Arthur's legends lies a tale of adventure, vengeance, and sisterhood. So I am always down for a retelling of Arthur. I do have some hangups when it comes to Arthurian legends, though, because I do want them to go a certain way, but I can't stop buying them. Robin Hood, Arthur, I'm always going to be intrigued, and this one sounds like it's going to be really good. Now for one I purchased just because of the price. I knew that I probably was going to have some issues with this book, but I've heard some people think I'm going to love it. Some people think I'm going to hate it, but there's not a consensus. So I just needed to decide for myself, and that would be The Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. Now, I really, really am intrigued by his new series, but it is a follow-up to this series, so I feel like I need to read this. I've heard you don't have to, but I want to now. And I don't have much to say about this. This is a very popular series here on BookTube. I just needed to pick it up and decide for myself if I wanted to read it. I know that this follows Emperor's Justice, but not from his point of view. It's from his apprentice's point of view, and she's writing his story looking back on the things that they have done. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about that type of writing style. Is it going to be too distant for me? Who knows? It says The Justice of Kings introduces Sir Conrad von Valt, an Emperor's Justice who is a detective, judge, and executioner all in one. But these are dangerous times to be a justice. So, like I said, I've heard mixed things about this, not on the book itself. Most people have really enjoyed it, but whether or not I'm going to enjoy it. You know, this one might have been a cover by, but it's The Ones We Burn, but it says Feral and Tender at Once by Rebecca Mix. And I have not heard anything about this, but it says Monster Butcher Bloodwin. Ranka is tired of death. All she craves now is to rest, remain in the Witchix wild north with the coven that raised her, and hide from the horrors of her past. That's really all I needed to know. You said witches. Now, I don't know how witchy this is going to be, because looking at it, it has like a very Romanesque type feel on all of the art style, but I couldn't pass up this beautiful cover. And it says, as beautiful as it is fierce, one of the freshest YA fantasies I've read in years. The Ones We Burn is a dark gem of a book, burning with feral strength. So there are buzzwords for me all over the place with this book. And I'm hoping I really enjoy it. I have had my issues with YA in the recent past, but I've also found some that I really love. So I want to know. I want to know. And then I picked up the final book in, what is the name of this series? Realmbreaker, is that the name of the series? I know that's the name of the first book, but I'm going to have to reread the first book because it's been a long time since I've read it, but I remember really enjoying it, and I have the second book, so this is the third. I liked Victoria Aveyard's Red Queen series when I read it a long, long time ago, but I have really enjoyed her writing, and I know that a lot of people who have my similar reading taste have really enjoyed this, but I also know a lot of people who don't have my same reading taste have not liked this, so it just makes me feel like I'm going to enjoy the majority of this, regardless of the fact that it's YA. I did like the first book, like I said. It was a little convoluted and a little confusing, but I do think the way it played out made me excited for the second book. I just kind of put it off and put it off and put it off. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. And I think it's because I was buddy reading it with someone and they vanished. And so I was like, okay, where'd you go? We were reading these books together. But I'm excited to restart this series and finish it out. Okay, when I was building my Our Fantasy Bingo, I did mention that I bought this book for $5. So I have 6 Crimson Cranes on my Our Fantasy Bingo for the simple fact that I purchased the second one. And I need to know if I'm going to like them. The covers though, oh my gosh, the covers are stunning. Now I have seen, is it the Owlcrate or Fairy Loot versions? I'm not really sure which one they are. Of these, and I do love those covers too, but these are just stunning works of art. Like it's so intriguing. This is the second book in a series, so I'm not going to read the synopsis to you, but finding it for $5, I needed to know. And like I said in the previous video, the Our Fantasy Bingo, I can't just have them decorating my shelves. I actually need to read them. All right, that is it for me today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things. All of my links are in a Linktree link down below, including my Patreon and my Pango shop. Bye.